crazy day, but glad all here. We have the Squallis Puppeteers who are here for you to give you quite the show, and you get the first one. So we're going to show them what Klondike's about and how we act all the time when we have assemblies, right? So just introducing them. So welcome to Klondike. We also have some, it's going to be filmed, so it's that good. You get to see that show, so you get to see some other work that goes on behind the scenes. Maybe you'll see it on TV, you never know. Maybe see your school. So let's give them our undivided attention, and let's have some fun in the right way. Welcome the Squallis Puppeteers.
Hi everybody, how you doing? So good to see you all today. We're happy to be here. We were afraid we wouldn't be able to perform, but we're glad we made it. So I'm Sean. I'm here from Squallis Puppeteers, and
Mi nombre es Francisco Joel Bernard y soy de la Academia de Música de Louisville.
And my name is Sarah, and I'm also from the Louisville Academy of Music.
So we're going to do a show for you today. We're actually going to do 3 short shows, 3 short bits, okay? I don't do a whole lot of talking, so I don't have a microphone. Now, in the middle of the show, you'll get to ask me a few questions, and so you just have to speak up real loud so that I can hear you. We'll get to that soon, all right? Before we start, I want to go over, we have 3 rules for our audience. That's you guys, right? You guys are the audience. We have 3 rules to make sure that you enjoy the show as much as possible. So, the first rule is you have to be able to see the show. It's no fun if you can't see. So that means everybody stay sitting down, crisscrossed applesauce, just like you are. If you start to get up on your knees, then the person behind you can't see so well, and it's not so much fun for them, okay? Second rule is you got to be able to hear the show. You don't want to be able to not hear, so that means no talking during the show. We want you to laugh and have a good time, but don't talk to your friends or else they can't hear the show so well, all right? The third rule, my favorite rule of all, is you all have to use your imaginations. It's a puppet show, you've got to pretend a little bit, and it's more fun. Now, in this show, I have a special friend that comes out during the second part of the performance, and sometimes our imaginations can run away with us a little bit. So I'm going to show him to you now so that you don't get too scared when he comes out later. This is Abioyo. Yeah, all right. That's what I like to see. So, this is why I show them to you, right? It's a mixture of fear and excitement, and it usually just stops the show. All right? So, 2 things. When I come out in this later, try to control yourselves. If you get too scared, especially you guys in the front row, if you feel too scared, because I'm going to be wearing them, I'm not going to be carrying them like this. But if you get too scared, just look at my shoes, and you'll know it's me and not an actual monster. Okay? And if you all are too loud and we can't perform because you're just too worked up about Abioyo coming out, Abioyo is going to ask you to give him 5, and that means the same as when your teacher does it. Okay? That means everybody's settled down. All right, I'm going to turn it over to Sarah.
Hello. Okay, so we're going to start the show with a story called Ferdinand. And I'm going to be playing this instrument along with the story. What is this instrument? Does anybody know? A violin. Hey, great. Okay, let's count how many strings are on the violin. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4 strings. So sometimes in the story I play 1 string and it sounds very smooth and soft like this. But I can also play lots of strings at once and sound really loud and ferocious like this. So I want you to see all the different sounds that the violin can make to help bring the story of Ferdinand to life. Thank you. Oh, thanks, yeah. That's a show. No. The what? It's red? You'll see. Don't worry about that. Okay, so we're going to, I'm going to play the story, listen to the violin and the music, and see afterwards. I'm going to give you a little sound quiz to see how well you are listening to the story. So in this story of Ferdinand, Ferdinand loves to smell the flowers, or
oler las flores.
So anytime you hear that, you can use your imagination, like Sean said, and you can smell, take a deep breath and smell the flowers, okay? Here's the story of Ferdinand the Bull with music by Alan Rideau and words by Monroe Leaf. Once upon a time in Spain, there was a little bull and his name was Ferdinand.
Era una vez en España había un pequeño toro llamado Ferdinand.
All the other little bulls he lived with would run and jump and butt their heads together.
Todos los toros a su alrededor vivían corriendo, brincando y dándose cabezazos entre sí mismos.
But not Ferdinand.
Pero no Ferdinand.
He liked to sit just quietly and smell the flowers.
A él le gustaba estar sentado tranquilamente, oliendo las flores.
He had a favorite spot in the pasture under a cork tree.
Su lugar favorito para descansar era en la pradera debajo de un árbol de hule.
And he would sit in its shade all day
Y ahí se mantenía todo el día
and smell the flowers.
y olía las flores.
Sometimes his mother, who was a cow,
A veces su mamá, que era una vaca,
would worry about him.
se preocupaba por él.
Why don't you run and play with the other little bulls and skip and butt your head, she would say.
¿Por qué no corres, vas y juegas con todos los otros toritos, saltas y cabeceas con ellos?, decía ella.
But Ferdinand would shake his head.
Pero Ferdinand, moviendo su cabeza y sus cuernos, discrepaba.
I like it better here. I can sit just quietly and smell the flowers.
Me gusta más aquí donde puedo sentarme, estar tranquilo y oler las flores.
And because his mother was understanding,
Y ya que su mamá era comprensiva,
even though she was a cow,
aun siendo ella vaca,
she let him sit there and be happy.
le dejaba que se sentara allá y feliz.
Well, as the years went by, Ferdinand grew very big and strong.
Bueno, pues mientras sus días pasaban, Ferdinand creció y creció hasta que era bien grande y fuerte.
All the other bulls who had grown up with him in the same pasture, they would fight each other all day.
Todos los otros toros que crecieron junto a él se cabeceaban entre ellos todos los días.
They would butt each other and stick each other with their horns.
Se cabeceaban como si pelearan entre ellos y hasta se hacían daño con sus cuernos.
What they all wanted most of all was to be picked to fight in the bullfights in Madrid.
Hacían esto con el sueño de ser escogidos para participar en los combates de toro en Madrid.
But not Ferdinand.
Pero no Ferdinand.
He still liked to sit just quietly under the cork tree
A él, aún a esta edad, lo que le gustaba hacer es sentarse tranquilo debajo del árbol de hule
and smell the flowers.
y oler las flores.
Well, one day, 5 men came in funny hats to pick the biggest, the fastest, the roughest bull to fight in the bullfights in Madrid.
Un día 5 hombres vinieron con sombreros los cuales lucían gracioso para escoger el toro más grande, fuerte y feroz de todos los toros en el campo para combatir en Madrid.
All the other bulls ran around snorting and butting, leaping and jumping so that the men would think that they were very, very, very strong and fierce and pick them.
Todos los otros del toro del campo corrían, braman y hasta brincaban con el tal de que dieran la impresión a los hombres que eran muy, pero muy fuertes y feroces para que fueran escogidos en el combate.
Ferdinand knew that they wouldn't pick him and he didn't care, so he went to his favorite cork tree to sit down.
Ferdinand sabía que no lo iban a escoger ya que no le importaba ser escogido y pues siguió su camino al lugar favorito debajo del árbol de hule.
But he didn't look where he was sitting.
Esta vez no se sentó cuando no se notó dónde se iba a sentar.
And instead of sitting in the nice cool grass in the
Y
shade,
en vez de sentarse en la sombra,
he sat on a bumblebee.
se sentó en un panel de abejas.
Well, if you were a bumblebee and a bull sat on you, what would you do?
Si fueras una abeja y un toro se sienta encima tuyo, ¿qué harías?
What would you do? Oh, did it hurt? Ferdinand jumped up at the snort. He ran around puffing and snorting and butting and pawing the ground as if he were mad.
¡Auch! Eso sí que dolió. Después de tantas picadas, Ferdinand rugió, corrió, gruñó y movió sus cuernos como nunca por el dolor.
Well, the 5 men saw him and they all shouted with joy.
Los 5 hombres, al ver a Ferdinand correr con tanta furia, gritaban con alegría.
Here was the largest and fiercest bull of all, just the one for the bullfights in Madrid.
Aquí está el toro más ideal para los combates de toros en Madrid.
What a day it was.
Qué grandioso día fue ese.
Flags were flying.
Las banderas en alto,
Bands were playing.
las bandas tocando.
And all the lovely ladies had flowers in their hair.
Y todas las mujeres tenían flores en su cabeza.
They had a parade into the bull ring.
Tenían hasta una parada en camino al coliseo del combate.
First came the banderilleros.
En primer lugar venían los banderilleros.
Next came the picadors.
Luego los picadores.
Next came the matador, the proudest of them all.
Luego venía el matador.
Then came the bull, and you know who that was, don't you?
Por último vino el toro y me imagino que pueden adivinar quién era.
Ferdinand went to the middle of the bull ring.
Ferdinand se postró en el centro de la arena.
And everyone thought he was going to fight fiercely and butt and snort and stick his horns around.
Y todo el mundo esperaba que fuera a gruñir y pelear con la furia de 20 leones.
But not Ferdinand.
Pero no Ferdinand.
When he saw the flowers and all the lovely ladies' hair, he just sat down and smelled.
Cuando vio las flores que todas esas mujeres decoraban en su cabeza, Ferdinand solo olió las flores.
He would not fight no matter what they did.
Ferdinand simplemente se rehusaba a pelear.
He just sat
Simplemente se sentó
and smelled.
a oler las flores.
And the banderilleros, they were angry.
Los banderilleros estaban molestos.
And the picadors, they were angrier.
Pero más molestos estaban los picadores.
And the matador, he was so angry because he couldn't show off, he cried.
Y no se diga lo molesto que estaba el matador, tan molesto que se puso a llorar.
So they had to take Ferdinand back home.
Por esta razón, devolvieron a Ferdinand de vuelta a casa.
And he is sitting there still under his favorite cork tree, smelling the flowers just quietly.
Y pues en este momento se encuentra debajo de su árbol favorito de hule, oliendo la fragancia de las flores.
He is very happy.
Se encuentra muy feliz.
The end.
El fin.
Okay, what a great audience you all are. So I'm going to ask a few questions and do a sound quiz, and if you would like to answer in Spanish, you can as well.
Sara va a hacer algunas preguntas y si quieren contestar en español, lo pueden hacer. If you want to answer in Spanish, you can answer her questions in Spanish if you want.
So, what do you think the story of Ferdinand is about? What is the moral of the story? There's a lot of flowers in there, you're right. And what happens with those? What is the story trying to teach us? Yeah. What do you think? Any ideas? Do you think that Ferdinand is like the other bulls? Does he like to fight like the other bulls? Does Ferdinand like to fight like the other bulls? No. What does Ferdinand like to do? And smell the flowers. And even when he goes to Madrid and the whole place is saying, fight, fight, fight. They're all telling him to fight. Does Ferdinand fight? No. So this is a great story to remember how brave Ferdinand was for staying true to his heart and doing what made him happy and not fighting, even when everybody else was. Okay, are you ready for a sound quiz? See how well you're listening to the violin? I'm going to do some little sounds, and you have to tell me what character it is, okay? So you can just yell out the characters. What is this sound? The bee, I heard it. Great, good. You hear, kind of sounds like flapping wings. Good, good. Okay, what about this one? What about somebody back here? What is that sound? Was it the bull or was it the moo? The cow, the mom. Very good. Okay, so now this one, every time this music comes into the story, this character comes along with this music. Who is the character? Ferdinand, exactly. And Ferdinand's music, this is Ferdinand's theme. It's like his theme song, right? And it fits his personality. It's nice and relaxed and hanging out under the cork tree, right? So when you listen to classical music that has lots of instruments or an orchestra, there's usually no words, but there's still characters and stories and themes and drama. You just get to write it yourself. So you can try that the next time you're listening to some music with no words. Okay, we're going to tell another story now that's called Abioyo. So this one, Abioyo, the main character, who you briefly saw earlier, is a giant, and he has a song, and I need you all to help me sing Abioyo's theme song. Listen once and then sing with me. So it goes like this. Abioyo, 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 Abioyo. Everybody sing Abioyo, 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 Abioyo. Good. Once upon a time, there was a little girl who played the ukulele. She'd go around town practicing clink, clank, clunk. Well, the grown-ups, they'd always be busy. They'd say, shh, get that thing out of here. It's so annoying. And they'd kick her out of the house. Well, it didn't help because the girl's father was also always getting into trouble. You see, the girl's father was a magician. He had a magic wand and he could go and make things disappear. Well, he was also a terrible practical joker. You see, he'd come up to somebody just about to drink a nice glass of, there goes their juice. He'd come up to somebody working hard, fixing their house, up comes the father and no hammer. He would even come up to somebody after a long day of work and no chair. Well, as you can imagine, people got really tired of this. They finally got so fed up, they said, you take your magic wand and you take your daughter and that annoying ukulele and you all get out of town. And they ostracized them. That means they made them live on the very outskirts of town, away from everybody else. Very sad. Well, you see, this town, they used to tell stories. They tell stories of the olden days. They tell stories of the monsters and of the giants. They tell stories of Abioyo, how he was as big as a house, and he could eat people up. Well, nobody believed any of these stories, but they would tell them just for fun. Well, one day, the sun rose blood red over the hill. The first people to wake, they saw a shadow over the fields, and they felt the whole ground shake. Women screamed, ah! Strong men fainted. Oh, they cried, run for your lives! Here comes Abioyo! Down he came through the sheep pasture. Whoop! He ate a sheep in one bite. Down he came to the cow pasture. Whoop! He ate a cow in one bite. Well, just then, the little girl, she rubbed her eyes and was waking up and looked out of the window and said, Paul, what's that coming over the fields? Her father said, oh, that's Abioyo. If I could only get him to lie down, I could make him disappear. The little girl said, I have an idea, Father. Grab your magic wand. I'll grab my ukulele. Let's go. And off she ran down through the fields into the town, right up to where Abby Yo-Yo was. People screamed, don't go near him, he'll eat you alive. Oh, there he stood. His nails were long and sharp because he never cut them. His teeth were slobbery and yellow because he never brushed them. His feet, oh, so stinky because he had never, ever taken a bath. Well, just then the little girl whipped out her ukulele, began to sing, Abby Yo-Yo, Abby Yo-Yo, Abby Yo-Yo, Abby Yo-Yo. Well, the giant had never heard a song about himself before. A big grin spread across his face. He started to dance. Abby Yo-Yo, Abby Yo-Yo, Abby Yo-Yo, Abby Yo-Yo. And she went faster. Abby Yo-Yo, Abby Yo-Yo, Abby Yo-Yo, Abby Yo-Yo. And she went even faster. Abby Yo-Yo, Abby Yo-Yo, Abby Yo-Yo, Abby Yo-Yo, Abby Yo-Yo, Abby Yo-Yo, Abby Yo-Yo. Until the giant had his breath, he fell to the ground. Went the daughter with the little girl with her magic wand and, whoop. The father with his magic wand, and he disappeared. Well, the people, they had been looking out of their windows the whole time. They started streaming out of their houses. They ran up to the girl and her father and said, you saved our town. Thank you. And they lifted them up on their shoulders and they said, please move back to town and please bring that wonderful magic wand and your lovely ukulele. And the whole town sang together, Abby Yo-Yo, Abby Yo-Yo, Abby Yo-Yo, Abby Yo. Everybody sing, Abby Yo-Yo, Abby Yo-Yo, Abby Yo-Yo, Abby Yo-Yo. Woo-hoo.
Muy bien. ¿A quién le gustó la historia de Abby Yo-Yo? ¿A ti te gustó? ¿Te gustó? ¿Te gustó? Muy bien. Who liked the story of Abby Yo-Yo? You liked it? That's good. Well, Abby Yo-Yo es un gigante que es a veces, no, la gente no lo comprende. Y como la gente no lo comprende, a veces se pone triste. Does anyone know what triste means? Because Abby Yo-Yo sometimes gets triste. What does that triste mean? What does that triste mean? Cry, yeah, like sad, right? And sometimes just, Abby Yo-Yo, even though he looks like a monster, he's still a human inside, but he gets sad. Pero, aún así que Abby Yo-Yo se pone triste, para que se le quite la tristeza, le gusta bailar. Does anyone know what bailar means? Yes. Yes, dance. And he just goes up and goes to dance. Y ahora que Abby Yo-Yo se siente más contento, va a dar una caminata. Does anyone know what una caminata is or what caminar means? Let's see. You know what caminar means? Yes. Caminar? To walk? Yes, right? To walk. So Abby Yo-Yo likes to take a stroll. El problema es que ahora no está triste y está molesto con la aldea. Y ahora va a ir otra vez a molestar a la aldea. Does anyone know what molestar means? Yes. Do you know? Molestar? In English? Yes, to get mad. Now he's mad at the village. Now he gets to annoy the village again. Y bueno, volvemos otra vez a la historia de Abby Yo-Yo. Now we're back again to the story of Abby Yo-Yo. Now, before we move on from Abby Yo-Yo, does anyone know what this instrument is? Look, it's almost as big as Abby Yo-Yo. Whoa. Does anyone know the name of this instrument? El nombre de este instrumento? Yes. Yes, you on the back. You don't know? Does anyone think this is a flute? Who thinks this is a flute? What, flute? Who says no? No. You say no. No? Who says yes? Okay, but who says no? No, right? Well, it's not a flute. It looks like a flute, but imagine if I play the flute like this. It's not gonna work, right? So this is called, esto se llama en español, este instrumento se llama el fagot. In English, this instrument is called the bassoon. Bassoon, yes. And because of its length, look how big it is. That's how it can sound really low. And that's why it's good to represent the giant that is Abby Yo-Yo. Now, it's very different to the violin in, just on its size first, but also, this instrument is not played with a bow. Like, look how different it is, right? But also, I can only play this instrument with air. Solamente puedo tocar este instrumento con aire, right? As opposed to the violin, does the violin work? Does anyone know? Can you blow on the instrument? Right? It doesn't do anything, right? But if I do blow in my instrument, it makes a sound. So that's why this instrument is called a woodwind instrument, and that is a string instrument, right? Now, this instrument, this is the last fact I'm gonna put out there, is that this instrument is slightly different from the flute, let's say, which is still a woodwind instrument, is that I cannot just only blow on the instrument, because if I do so, this is what happens. How did I blow into the instrument and it didn't make any sound? Well, let's try this again. It's not working. Maybe it broke or something, but what is this? Oh, this is called a reed. It's called a double reed instrument because the reed by itself sounds like this. Right? But if I put the reed on the top of the instrument, all of a sudden it can play. So this is why it's called a double reed instrument, because the reed is what's making the whole instrument vibrate. Now, we're gonna go to this very fun part of the show, which
So this is our last song, and then maybe we'll have a little time for questions afterwards. But this one is a fiddle tune, which is a folk tune With classical music, we call it a violin, and you learn the music through notes, little notes on the page. Fiddle is folk music, and you learn it by ear from one person to the next. So this tune is called 5 Miles from Town, and it's a tune from eastern Kentucky, where the mountains are in our state. And we have Neville here, who's a jig doll, who's going to be dancing. So you'll be able to see Neville up on the screen, get some inspiration. I want you to try to listen for the beat. Francisco's going to help us with that beat. And you can tap at first when you feel the beat, then you can clap once you really feel the beat, and then once you really feel the beat, you can stand up in your spot and try and dance like Neville, okay? This is 5 Miles from Town. Great dancing, you all. Wonderful. Thank you all so much. That's the end of our show. Thanks for enjoying some music and stories, and we hope you have a great rest of your week.
Muchas gracias por su atención y esperemos que pasen una linda semana.
Now turn your attention to your teachers, and they'll tell you what to do. Thank you.